Hello and welcome back to the North American LCS. The crowd is getting rowdy and we're gearing up for our next match, TSM versus Echo Fox. Let's go ahead and start off taking a look at the starting lineup. Selecting the blue side, it's TSM. Yeah, nice and fancy here. Hauntzer in the top lane, MikeYeung in the jungle, Bjergsen mid, Zven and Mithy bottom and support respectively, and Coach Song.
I like the new graphics. I like them a lot. And facing them on the red side is going to be Echo Fox in the top lane, Huni. In the jungle, Dardoch, mid lane, Fenix, bot and support are going to be Altec and Adrian with Coach and Arrow.
And this matchup, Ezreal has a tale of two junglers. Dardoch, who's having his best split yet, and MikeYeung, who's still trying to meet the high expectations set for him now being on TSM.
Yeah, honestly, he's been kind of struggling a bit, and Dardoch has really kind of come into his own. Yes, he has had great performances in the past, but he has been standing alone at the top of the table as far as the jungle role right now. He's been working so incredibly well with these super strong solo laners that he has, and honestly, just playing a great split. MikeYeung, on the other hand, has been struggling to really adapt to this new TSM team and to kind of fit the mold that they seem to want from him. Even watching, some of TSM's show that they have actually put out on MikeYeung, you can see that there's a lot of things that they feel are issues stemming from his pathing and stemming from things that they felt he had done wrong in the game that they felt kind of snowballed the games out of control. So definitely a lot of pressure on this guy. When you join a team like TSM, they have never missed the finals. The expectations are incredibly high, and you need to be able to perform from the word go.
And TSM have to face the first place team here today after suffering a 0-2 week and dropping down to 6th.
Yeah, things are looking a bit bleak, especially when you compare to what their expectations were. When you have all the stars on this team, you really can't count them out, though. I mean, Hauntzer, Bjergsen, Zven, and Mithy are some of the best players that this game has seen. In the Western Hemisphere, they've been incredible for so long, and a win against Echo Fox could really give them some much-needed confidence and kind of start that bounce back, because still, talking to pros, talking to coaches, everyone still says, don't sleep on TSM. They're really good. They're crushing in scrims. They're doing well, but it has not really translated to stage.
Well, let's see if they can flip that switch here today. They're going to have to start soon. 4-6. Their total record compared to the 9-1 that Echo Fox currently sports. Rise and GP banned out by TSM. Echo Fox immediately banning away the Skarner, followed by Azir.
TSM coming off an 0-2 week last week against Cloud9 and Clutch, losing both those games. And Echo Fox, he's on a 5-game winning streak after having sole possession of first place. So things definitely on the up and up for them. And I'm going to be interested to see, okay, well, Zach actually is already banned away there. I was going to say if Dardoch will get Zach, because despite the fact that it has been lower priority for most junglers, below Skarner and Sejuani and these sorts of things, he has just been so good on it. Dardoch is undefeated on the pick. He has been dominating on it. Yes, he can perform on other picks as well, but taking it away, I think, just makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. The 3 big mid laners will also be banned out this game. Rise, Azir, and Zoe all removed. Gangplank also not going to be having a presence in the top lane this time around as TSM first picks the Galio.
Yeah, they will go for that early Galio. There are still definitely options, though, when you think about things like the Corki that Jensen showed. That worked quite well, right? That was actually seeming pretty effective into the Galio. Jensen was winning lane, he even started with the Cull, so there's definitely options there for Fenix, but certainly a lot of tension given to those mid lane bans, and we'll see if Echo Fox is willing to let their mid lane pick slip to the second round, because that could mean even more bans going that way and really trying to narrow the champion pool here of Fenix.
Absolutely could. Echo Fox will go ahead, grab themselves Kalista and Sejuani. The response from TSM being Braum and Camille. The past couple of games, we've seen a lot of focus on the support pool, especially those tankier supports. So TSM grabbing that Braum first off. Not super surprising here, as the final pick of the first half of the draft will be Vladimir for Echo Fox.
Yeah, and that obviously is expected to go top, as it has been mostly throughout the split, but there's still the possibility of playing Vladimir mid into the Galio, so you are kind of at least making TSM think somewhat about a flex pick here. TSM also did not draft an AD carry in the first round, so you're expecting Echo Fox to target that role, and the Tristana ban coming out is a good one. We might see something like a Varus or an Ezreal ban coming out as well to go alongside that. And from TSM, they are seeing this actually more perhaps as a mid laner. The Shen can be a ban for support though, so you can look at that as either a top or a support ban, and because it kind of has that duality, it's going to be pretty effective either way. Whether this goes top, then you're still banning someone out for support.
Well, the second ban from Echo Fox is going to be Jarvan, focusing in on that jungle pool yet again. So with Jarvan, Skarner, and Zach all banned away, and Sejuani already picked, the pool for MikeYeung gets a little bit shallow.
Yeah, I mean, you can still play things like Gragas. We've still seen aggressive picks like Eve. Kha'Zix is still incredibly popular in the LCK, for example. There's other junglers that can fill these roles, and we'll have to see if he wants to go for it. Jax is another one that's very, very popular. So I do think junglers have a lot of options, and it actually is going to be the mid lane Vladimir. So that
what if it's the mid lane Fiora counter pick?
It's actually really funny because it's hard. Normally, I would think more about that, but it's hard to know because Fiora is actually considered a very good matchup into Camille as well, because you can parry the hook shot very, very easily and actually use that against them to actually stun up the Camille. So still theoretically, it could be a double flex here. It is going to be the Kha'Zix as we discussed, but this is a very interesting draft. This should be actually support Zilean. Wow, that is not something that I expect to see. We've seen it in the mid lane. Very rarely in Pro do you actually see this as a support. The laning phase, I think, is incredibly weak, but you add so much value as you're going later into the game. Incredible amounts of speed up. You can have a 99% slow with your E maxed out, plus the revive, especially in combination with champions who want to dive in there and actually play very aggressive, like the Vladimir, like the Fiora. It makes quite some sense. I just wonder, how much are you giving up in your laning phase? When you're picking Kalista for a dominant lane phase and then you pair it with a Zilean who, in my opinion, has a very weak lane phase, maybe it's still okay if you could actually just get through that, farm it out, and then kind of use that power of Kalista to stabilize the lane. Zilean would be very effective later.
And one thing I'm also looking at this time around, the conversation you were having about MikeYeung and about Dardoch, talking about how Dardoch has been having one hell of a split for himself, and MikeYeung a bit more of a struggle to prove that he's going to live up to everyone's expectations. But this time around, you've got MikeYeung on that carry jungler. You've got MikeYeung on the Kha'Zix, that champion that wants to snowball, get ahead early, while you've got Dardoch on the champion that's going to be a much more effective team fighter later on if Mike doesn't get ahead. So if the matchup itself wasn't already putting pressure on MikeYeung to step up against the guy who's the best jungler in the NALCS based on performance right now, then the specific champion versus champion setup, that's going to do it for you.
Definitely so, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, this is a very atypical draft here from Echo Fox, and they have been a team that has been able to pull off whatever drafts they set out. They have been able to play very aggressively and be very effective. But Vladimir, Fiora, Zilean on the same team in these roles is not what you expect to see. All the picks make sense in isolation. We'll just have to see if it can actually come together. For TSM, I think, though, the game plan can be pretty clear. When you're looking at it, you have a strong side laner who can look to split push. Kha'Zix supports split pushing champions like Camille very well because you can actually roam and join that side lane. So can Bjergsen on this Galio. So to me, you must put Hauntzer ahead for this draft to really work. If Hauntzer cannot win the 1v1 against Huni, if he is not snowballed by Galio and Kha'Zix, I don't really see them being able to do very much in team fights.
Well, Huni is the guy, remember, that both Jat and Mark had at the top of their top lane tier lists, and pretty much everybody has at the top of their tier list right now. The man has been having an amazing performance so far here in Spring Split. Just a quick reminder, you can also tune into this game on Riot Games 2 for the NALCS Lounge. That's hosted by Freak, Sneaky, Meteos, and I believe a couple of burritos just to round out the squad, so they can make sure that they bring you all the appropriate coverage. If you want to check out that one, be our guest, or if you'd rather hang out here, we're happy to have you. As the teams start off now, minions about to collide, jungle camps about to spawn. Dardoch starting off at the blue. You're going to see MikeYeung starting off at his own blue, so they'll be on opposite sides of the map when it comes time to game.
This is going to be very interesting. It's also worth noting some pretty funny stats that we were actually looking at for TSM is how successful they have been with Gangplank and how they have done without Gangplank. So actually, the only wins for TSM this whole split are with Hauntzer on Gangplank, right? He has been able to carry, he has been able to be very, very effective on this champion. And yes, it is somewhat, kind of confirmation bias. It's not that many different games, but it does get you a little bit concerned, right? If you're becoming that reliant on a single pick, it's so easy to shut that down in the draft.
Well, it's not a good omen for this game then, if the numbers are to be believed, but this is also Hauntzer's chance to prove that it's not just all about that Gangplank. We mentioned how his work will be cut out for him going up against Huni here with the Vladimir. Zven taking a lot of damage there.
I mean, what is TSM doing not backing off when they're going to get level 2? That is about as basic as it gets in the bot lane. When your opponent has the push, when they are going to hit level 2 first, and you are still level 1, you back off, or that sort of trade is going to be what happens to you. And it doesn't mean that they have now completely lost lane or anything, but taking that much of a chunk of health, spending your health potion like that is very, very silly. You should be able to play that more carefully and more intelligently.
Yeah, Zven's healing just largely going to rely on those procs from the Relic Shield from Mithy at this point in time. MikeYeung moving through the bottom part of the river here, going to farm up that Scuttle Crab. And for Kha'Zix, who can actually run a little bit low on HP if you're not careful about what you're doing in the jungle on your first clear, the Scuttle Crab's a nice way to just sort of make a pit stop, grab some extra health from hitting the Scuttle Crab, and even the Smite there will bring him back up to a much more acceptable value. Fenix very comfortable here in the mid lane against this Galio. We've seen the Fiora kind of pocket pick come out before against Galio. This specific matchup can make Galio's life really difficult.
I actually really like the runes that are chosen here from Fenix. It makes quite a bit of sense. He actually went, so Inspiration primary and Resolve secondary. So in Resolve, he takes Mirror Shell at second win to deal with the poke coming out of Galio early on. He also has taken Biscuit Delivery from Inspiration for even more sustain. Then starting here with the Relic Shield, as well as the refillable there, and having Klepto means he can even steal more health potions. So that is a tremendous amount of sustain there. And really the only way that a Galio can win this lane is by kind of poking out your opponent. So he's somewhat counteracted this with his runes and can turn it into a lane that he can comfortably farm and perhaps get some advantages later on.
It's a great adaptation. It allows him to get through the early game almost effortlessly, unless, of course, MikeYeung decides to set up shop there. Camp the lane out a little bit, but right now, Bjergsen not having a great time trying to trade back against that Fiora. Hauntzer making some moves here up against Huni's Vladimir, timing that very well to make sure he's able to find the damage at the very end of the pool.
Also critical that he actually lands that tactical sweep for the slow, because that means that Huni cannot re-enter for his empowered Q to trade back, right? Huni is trying to kind of land those empowered Qs, and as a Camille, you want to dip and dodge and kind of move in and then move out before he can actually get that off. So a lot of it really comes down to how many then those can he land.
He'll continue farming up for now, staying pretty much blow for blow on the creeps with Huni. MikeYeung not finding his way into any lanes just yet, and I want to kind of harken back to what I mentioned earlier as we do see the ward spotting him out as he farms up this Braum. So Echo Fox tracking him, they know exactly where he's at, where the threat might be from him. Fenix looking to move in onto Bjergsen, proc some more of those vitals here yet again, using the riposte to block the big damage from the Winds of War. But if MikeYeung doesn't get off to a good start in this game, his usefulness overall is going to fall behind Dardoch just because of what champions they are.
Exactly, and then it's going to be down to, well, how do you play in the side lanes? How far ahead can you get Hauntzer? Because Kha'Zix can still be very effective in those side lanes, in the skirmishes, but it gets really hard. And nice double bomb there. Zven getting caught by that, it honestly kind of feels like they aren't super used to seeing against a Zilean, and sometimes there's those cases where it's like a basic thing you're supposed to be doing against a champion, but you don't play against it, so you're not used to it. When one bomb hits your support, that means you have to move away from your support as Zven, because you can get double bombed off that. Likewise, if they bomb up a minion, but they're trying to go aggressively, and Mithy is just going to take quite a bit of damage there. Not really any follow-up available, perhaps trying to feign the fact that MikeYeung could have been in the area.
Fenix has level 6 up on this Fiora now, though, so the Grand Challenge can be issued if Bjergsen ends up getting himself in any sort of a compromisable position. But right now, I think he's going to get awfully used to the scenery underneath his own turret. Galio, not too many difficulties farming up, considering you've got some of the powerful clearing of the champion, so he'll just go ahead and utilize those efforts to keep his CS relevant to what his opponent's got. As MikeYeung hanging around the Dragon Pit, nothing to find just yet. Mithy and Zven trying to force the issue here. Nice stun into the Ignite. Altec forced back off of that one. TSM getting the better of their opponents that time around.
Yeah, definitely so. Getting actually 3 summoners out there for just the Ignite for Mithy, and now MikeYeung is down here on the bot side, and this is something you definitely can do. It's, as a Zilean support, is very, very weak in the all-in scenarios there, and if you can actually proc that Braum passive, you can stun him up. He's really not offering a lot of damage. You have the double bomb. If that does not connect with a stun, you're offering very, very little at this point in the game.
Well, both junglers are now hanging around the bottom side of the map. As you generally, when the situation calls for one jungler to show up, it'll, by consequence, call for the other jungler to show up just as backup. You saw the fact that MikeYeung was down there thinking about the dive mid. Dardoch was down there for backup, but both junglers now having ults available for MikeYeung. That means the first evolution. A lot of times these days, that is the active camouflage. and that is the choice that he's going to go with this time around. For Dardoch, it just means more CC, more lockdown, more playmaking.
Exactly, and Dardoch, you're going to be really happy. If you got to level 6 without having to interact with the Kha'Zix on a Sejuani, now you're feeling more comfortable to be out on the map to look for these plays, to look for team fights, and honestly, even 2v2s. Because while Kha'Zix is way stronger, I think, than Sejuani pre-6, post-6, that ultimate just gives a ridiculous amount of power to Sejuani if you can land it on the right target.
Still no deaths to speak of yet. Both teams playing this one slow enough here in the early game, but it's a 500 gold lead for Echo Fox. Top side, you can see the small CS lead being built there for the Vladimir. Mid lane, not only does Fenix have a CS lead, but he's also got the fact that, like you mentioned earlier, Ezreal, he's got Kleptomancy, he's got the Relic Shield. There's gold generation in his pocket. Yeah, he can't blow the waves up with a barrel and farm a bunch of gold in that mechanism, but just about every other type of thing that you see being able to build yourself a lane advantage, he's got that for himself. So the entirety of the gold lead between these teams can actually be attributed to the Fiora versus Galio matchup there in the mid lane. Everybody else is pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, Fiora is 500 plus gold ahead, right? Like, that's actually looking very, very good, almost 600 there. And now that you have the Tiamat, you're pushing in Bjergsen under the turret, which is going to make him miss some farm, right? So you're naturally going to miss some of that farm. This guy is farming Kleptomancy procs off you. You cannot win the all-in 1v1 unless the Fiora massively misplays. Bjergsen is kind of just stuck in a really unfun 1v1, and it is more on the jungler to get out there and find something to get done, right? Like, MikeYeung is so far just kind of farming, and maybe TSM is confident that they can win in team fights later on, but he has not attempted the gank top side, where I feel Camille needs to get ahead and be able to split push. He has not really come to affect this mid lane either, and now it's at a point where it's riskier to do so because Sejuani counter gank can be very devastating.
Another bomb finds its way onto Zven here in the bottom side, and one thing to keep in mind about Airy on the Zilean as well is when he speeds up an ally, you can actually proc the Airy and give them a little bit of a shield too, so it adds a slight bit more utility to a guy who's normally just known for speed and res, but now topside, it's Dardoch making the move in onto Hauntzer. The damage comes through, the Hextech ultimatum issued, but it's all for naught. First blood over to the Crimson Reaper himself.
Really nicely done, just a clean gank there. Huni holding on to the Ignite to make it even easier. Dardoch is the one to strike first here in this jungle matchup up to the top side and getting Huni an advantage. He's already up in farm, now has first blood gold. He's going to proxy the wave to deny even more minions, and he's going to be in a really good spot.
Huni feeling great after that one. Dardoch feeling just as good, getting that top laner going, shutting down that potential split push from Hauntzer that you were talking about. MikeYeung not finding any such success for himself here in the mid lane as Fenix is happy to just play back a little bit, farm up.
Definitely so. Here it is once more. Almost no time to react there, honestly, from Hauntzer. Sejuani coming from out of vision there, immediately landing the ultimate. There's not much you can do. It's so hard to actually be able to react and reactively flash that. So Hauntzer gets knocked down. Intelligently, once you're already caught by the Sejuani ult, you are dead. Accept it, save your summoners. He does so, so at least if a repeat gank comes, he'll have his flash.
And that's something, I think, you were actually the person I was having this conversation with the other day about how a lot of times you'll see players get caught by something that they could have tried to flash initially. That play, there was no way to really flash it initially unless you had some sort of sixth sense, but wasting the flash after you've already been caught can sometimes make what is a bad situation into a terrible situation. So for Hauntzer, it is good to see that he recognizes how bad that was and saves those resources for later on. But Huni, man, he's a monster now. Proto Belt done. He's got the cooldown boots completed. This is a scary situation to be.
It really is. And MikeYeung needs to make something work. And he's up here to the top side of the map. He's going to be looking for a gank, but Huni is backing off. He's warding it out. And he still has his stopwatch available, and it can be very difficult to take down with Vladimir when Hauntzer doesn't have his ultimate available to lock him in. He has pool, he has flash, he has a lot of ways out. So we'll see if he's actually going to be able to find something. But at the very least, MikeYeung is here for any potential counter gank to try to defend Hauntzer somewhat, because they know they can't let him get behind.
Echo Fox content with just allowing this game to scale forward. You've got a Fiora, you've got a Vladimir, you've got, we already talked about the difference in the junglers, which one's going to be more effective in those team fights. So,
and honestly, the Zilean. I mean, Zilean being able to scale, like, Zilean has such a crap lane phase, and it's so good outside of laning. And the fact that he's able to just kind of utilize some of the early power of the Kalista to stabilize this lane and play it out, means he's going to be really, really annoying to deal with later on because already he's building up his CDR. He's going to have 20% right there from Lucidity Boots, plus his support item. And when you start hitting the 30-40% CDR type marks on Zilean, the cooldowns are so ridiculously low. You have the ultimate up what feels like non-stop, and then these powerful divers of the Vladimir and the Fiora are going to be insanely sped up, and if you manage to take them down, they res.
Huni finding some damage there onto Hauntzer yet again, but when we did pan bottom side there, you saw Altec taking a lot of damage from the Mystic shots of Zven. He has been dialing those in pretty successfully to find the poke onto Altec and just sort of keep these guys on their back foot. You can see a slight CS lead for TSM's bottom lane as they have 11 up over their opponents, and also Kleptomancy. So the gold lead is more than you would imagine.
Definitely is, and despite the fact that TSM, I think, had a little bit of a flub in the early stages of the game, and on the bot side, you know, taking that kind of big chunk of damage, they've CS'd well, they have won this lane, as I feel they should. They are exploiting their advantage as much as they can, and Zven, as he has been, I think, many times this season, is in a pretty good spot. He has been laning well. He has been always someone that has a ton of farm and the ability to carry some of these games, but we haven't really yet seen like a super dominant Zven performance that I think a lot of people were expecting when TSM picked him up, because usually when people think of this guy, they think of his Tristana games, taking over late game, just being such a dominant team fight player, and TSM have not really been able to find those sorts of plays from him so far this split.
Huni continues shoving up the top side, though. You can see Hauntzer going for that Trinity Force. Still, only having a couple of the components in the inventory means that those items that we talked about from Huni, the Proto Belt plus the cooldown boot's going to make him very much in control of this top side.
Another thing that's kind of interesting about this matchup here for Hauntzer versus Huni is normally I would say a buy like a Ma when it's, you know, a Sejuani jungle plus a Vladimir top and you're going to be splitting as a Vladimir would be really, really good.
Yeah.
But if he starts actually building towards a lot of magic resist, if he commits to a Ma, then you put Fiora in the side lane against him, and all of a sudden, that is worthless, and you are going to lose that 1v1. So he's in this rough spot where it's actually two matchups that he may be preparing for, and you have to then go kind of a generalist build.
And we saw a similar situation actually in TSM's last game against CLG, where they had Galio mid, they played against Huhi's Fiora mid, and it was the gangplank from Hauntzer in the top lane that could not deal with that Fiora in the split push, because he was thinking, oh, okay, I'll just deal with whoever the top laner is. I can't actually remember who it was in that game, but it was definitely not Fiora.
Yeah.
And when Fiora goes down there at that point, he ends up getting solo killed twice. So if you're Hauntzer, you've got to be remembering that game specifically in this one and recognizing the fact that you've got to be able to deal with either one of those threats that they send after you. One thing that hasn't been taken yet so far this game is that Mountain Drake. I talked about how sometimes if the first Drake isn't an Infernal, you will see it go all the way between the 10, 15, sometimes even towards the 20-minute mark before it gets taken, and both teams content to wait right now as MikeYeung moving here into the mid lane. Fenix does not have fast enough feet to get away this time. MikeYeung needs one more hit, and he's got it, getting himself on the board.
Yeah, they're finally MikeYeung able to get involved, picking up a kill. That is definitely a big one here for TSM. He is not spotted because he was invisible walking until he was already in the bush. And that is the power of that evolved Kha'Zix R. Able to flash and find that kill. Thankfully for them, no speed up. It was actually proc from Phoenix. We couldn't get out of range. And TSM's bot lane has got themselves a nice edge. They have knocked down that turret.
And one thing I want to point out, because it was actually posted on Twitter yesterday by Moon, talking about their Academy mid laner Sun, who posted, hey, wait, does Kha'Zix ult not get seen by pink wards?
Oh, no.
No, it does not. So MikeYeung was fully invisible going through there despite the pink ward. They were not aware as to exactly what was happening, so Phoenix couldn't get away from that one as Huni going to be jumped on here by Hauntzer, returning a bit of the favor, dropping the Hemo Plague with the Ignite. Equalizes their health a little bit here, wants to get that empowered Q off for the Crimson Rush, gets more damage down. Hauntzer trying to bait him in a little bit here. Flash up for both top laners. Dardoch coming around through the enemy jungle. Hauntzer gets back in time, seemingly. Dardoch will not make it there.
Yeah, Dardoch cannot get him down, but again, because the jungle support comes in, because Hauntzer knows, MikeYeung is clearing Krugs on the bottom side of the map. He doesn't get to actually stay up there and farm that wave and defend that turret, right? That is just what happens because of the game state. If you do that trade and your Kha'Zix is on Gromp, okay, great. You could probably stay around, probably defend the turret, you could probably try to do that, but he doesn't have the ability to do so because of the difference in pathing. And that simply means it's a turret going Echo Fox's way. That gold is going to be in Huni's pocket, and he's going to have a pretty nice advantage because of it. He's already up 1K in that 1v1 and building pretty quickly here towards the Leandries.
Zale, we got ourselves another close game here at 17.5 minutes in. It's only 500-600 gold apart. Both teams doing a good job of keeping themselves in here. TSM by getting that turret first blood. Echo Fox by just farming a little bit better in general in a couple of different lanes, including the jungle role. Zven up top here, though, might be the target.
He's gonna the speed up on onto Sejuani here is gonna be really big from Adrian if Dardoch wants to go for this. We'll see if they make their move.
Oh, this could be disastrous. There they go. They're able to find the stun down onto Mithy. That's not the AD carry, but it still might be enough for the Galio reinforcements. A very quick res from Adrian. He pops the stopwatch. TSM found a huge fight for themselves. They get 2. Won't quite find 3, but what an amazing reversal.
Really nice collapse there from TSM, and Hauntzer.
Never mind, I'm a liar. Hauntzer grabbing himself that third one, makes a liar out of me, and TSM is ecstatic about the outcome of that one. Fenix trying to fight 1 versus 2 here. Doesn't time the riposte properly, and he's going to be taken down now too. 4 dead on Echo Fox, and TSM will push the top lane.
A total collapse there for Echo Fox. Fenix could have just walked away. He goes back and mistimes the parry, dies as well. Echo Fox think that they have the jump here, and they do, but the Galio ultimate coming through, the TP from Hauntzer, Kha'Zix is the first one to be able to make this move. Fenix can't get up here, and this was just such a quick collapse from TSM, and the fact that they clean up not 2 kills, not 3 kills, but they also get Fenix afterwards is so big to pushing them ahead in this game.
And Mike just barely walked away from that last bomb on his head.
And this was honestly just cocky from Fenix.
Yeah.
He could have just walked back. He walked forward into the taunt versus a flashless Galio because he wanted to try to make the big play. If you parry the taunt correctly, you can stun him up. You can maybe pop the ultimate, maybe make something happen. And instead, he just gives up his life.
Yeah, that was entirely avoidable, but woo! Look at the damage dealt to champions in that one. It's a race between everybody on TSM to see who did the most, and Echo Fox just can't keep up. Now TSM moving on to the Rift Herald, grabbing some more objective control in this game. Turrets are still tied up 2-2, but with the win in that last big fight, TSM have themselves a 2,000 gold lead, and they want to push it even further, now seeing what they might be able to knock down with that Herald.
I mean, that feels so good for TSM, especially where some of those kills actually dropped is going to have so much effect in the side lanes. When you think about Huni having to 1v1 against Hauntzer, Hauntzer just got 2 kills, 2 assists, and not only that, but you don't have to just think about the top laner, you have to think about the strength of Kha'Zix, who could show up and really turn some of these 1v1s, especially with this stealth, it can be very hard to ward him out. So now this is a very powerful Kha'Zix, a very powerful Camille, and Huni has to really think about how he's going to be able to deal with both of these guys.
Huni on the Vlad, 212 CS compared to 181. Still feeling pretty good in that respect. Got the Leandries Torment up and running, and you're starting to see multiple items come online for everybody here. Ezreal, the fact that Bjergsen has 6 stacks on that Rod of Ages means it was completed about 5-6 minutes ago. Morello Namicon also completed there for him, while the Fiora for Fenix nearly done with the Trinity Force of his own. MikeYeung going towards that Duskblade that Kha'Zix likes to build so much as well means that if he can find somebody out in those skirmish or split push scenarios like you were talking about, it's very deadly.
And it gives him even more safety to look for those plays because the Duskblade is actually a sweeper as well that will activate. He'll know if he's been spotted or not when he's heading over to those side lanes, so that makes him even tougher to deal with him. Something that I really do like about this Morello's is having the Grievous Wounds application against all the healing on this team is very big. Oh, I actually think, Huni's going to get caught out here. We can go back to that afterwards.
Huni getting jumped on, tries to outplay it and does a nice stopwatch. He'll still drop, but damn if he ain't taking somebody with him.
TP coming in from Fenix. They want to try to chase this, but the TP is not going to mean much either way. Still a good job by Huni trading back. Gets a kill in the 1 versus 2. But I would like to see Zven pick up an early Executioners here. I think it's so incredibly strong when you're up against a team like this with Vladimir, with the Fiora healing, with Kalista building early life steal. And look at the damage coming out here from Huni. Huni actually navigates his way around with that Crimson Rush and is able to tag it onto MikeYeung. And Mithy was not able to get in between because it actually hits the first person there. So he was not able to block that. That allows him to complete that all in with the Ignite, with the Proto Belt, the Empowered Q. A lot of damage is coming out.
Good stuff there from Huni, but TSM ultimately still gets the man they were going for. They grab that kill onto the top laner, slow him down a little bit, But one thing I want to talk about now, because we're looking at TSM in this situation where they've got themselves a mid-game lead, they've got themselves the tempo in the game, is so many times we've seen TSM this split just seemingly sit there and wait for something to happen, but now Huni gonna be jumped on yet again, can't find the kill this time. Hauntzer goes on a killing spree, and this looks like TSM has found a way to remedy that sit there and wait approach that they seem to be stuck on so far.
And this was the kind of style that you want them to play. I mean, we talked about it even back in the draft, and I was surprised to see TSM take so long to actually go to those side lanes, but you have Kha'Zix, you have Galio. Those are two of the best enablers from mid lane and jungle for a split pusher. Camille has so much extra safety because you can go aggressive, you throw down your ultimatum, the heroic entrance comes in, there's no avoiding that really, and that is so strong adding into the 1v1. Plus you have the stealth of Kha'Zix coming out, able to isolate and take someone down. So it's going to be tough for Huni, and he either needs to play it extremely safe or have people behind him supporting him for when that play comes in.
Maybe all those words and whispers you were hearing from behind the scenes about don't sleep on TSM. TSM looks good. Believe in TSM. They're doing good in scrims. They're doing good in practice. Maybe there's some weight to that after all, as TSM putting on a good show here against #1.
I mean, they definitely are. And here is the engage. Nicely done. All three members coming down. There's just no way out here for Huni, honestly. But still, the fact that he gets a flash from MikeYeung is pretty good as a trade in that. But TSM has had leads a lot throughout this split. They've actually had very good early game to mid game stats. It is about this point in the game where they have generally failed to extend those leads. They have failed to actually close out games with those leads. So we need to kind of say, yes, you've done well so far in this game, TSM, good job. Where do you go from here? How do you extend this lead? How do you close out this game? And that's really where they have kind of fumbled so far this split.
Just because you put a couple check marks in the boxes so far doesn't mean you get to put the cap on your pen and stop writing. You got to put them all the rest of the boxes all the way down the page, and TSM needs to keep themselves focused. They need to make sure there's always something they're working towards, right? That's what we've been wanting to see from this team that we felt honestly so deprived of in terms of watching their matches and watching how they play, especially with the star power on this lineup. I mean, you've got the bottom lane that took G2 to so many victories over in Europe. You've got two of the most established solo laners in all of North America here on this team. And even your guy who's a rookie, MikeYeung, is one of the guys who had the most hype around him as a rookie, as much as any rookie I've ever seen.
And especially when the sales pitch was, this team is going to be so good at communication. That's why we got these players. They're going to work so well together, and that has not been the case. We have seen good individual performances. They're clearly still very strong when you look at a player on a case-by-case basis, but they have not worked well together, and that is why they have not been able to take lane advantages and early advantages and turn those into wins. And for Echo Fox, it's rare that they've been behind. They have been a very dominant team. They have only lost the one game to CLG. And honestly, most of their games have not been very heavily contested. They have been pretty one-sided affairs, and they are now put with a pretty big challenge here, right? Huni is in somewhat of a disadvantage in the side lane. He's not going to have as much help as Hauntzer. He's going to have to survive there, and the rest of the team is going to have to find a way to make this composition work. Because the individual pieces are very strong, the lane matchups were very good, but you are left with essentially like this double split push team, only one tank. You know, it's harder to execute on team fights with it.
And now they're deciding to pull the trigger on Baron, seeing that their opponents are a bit all over the place. The true shot barrage comes through. Man, that Baron is not dropping fast enough for this to pay off. Bjergsen coming in onto multiple people, kills two. It's going to be 3 in just a moment. Tragedy for Echo Fox. They manage to get the kill onto 2 of their own, but now the fight continues. Fenix over the wall with that lunge, barely escaping the winds of war. One more hit will do him in. There comes your Mystic shot. Huni walking away from this now. MikeYeung and Hauntzer both dead, so overall, it's a 3 for 2 going the way of TSM, but ooh, that was sketchy.
Yeah, that was definitely a very risky call that Echo Fox tried to go for there. They're lucky to trade back a couple kills, I think. They are getting pretty low. I mean, this is a very low HP team. The flash taunt catches everyone. As Adrian gets pulled into the Kalista ultimate there, the anti-timing, he's not able to even get off his Zilean ult because he was pulled into the CC. Everyone is burst down. Thankfully, they did get a couple of kills, and it doesn't end up being a complete disaster for Echo Fox. But again, another nice play here from TSM, and now we get to find out how Hauntzer died as MikeYeung is running straight towards the Baron. It's just a straight up 1v1 here. Huni barely surviving to get the empowered Q, turns it back around and wins that fight. And Hauntzer may have thought that MikeYeung was going to come and help him there, but MikeYeung needed to get to that Baron.
There's a reason everybody's got Huni on the top of their list. The guy knows how to play his top laners. Baron dropping very rapidly now to TSM, though. Dardoch will have to be the hero here if he wants to go over the wall, maybe smite this one away. He takes the blast cone. Adrian in some danger. Not going to proc the ulti. That's pretty big. Hauntzer taken low. Fenix looking to grab the kill, but can't do it. Altec's already down. The Baron still going to be nearly taken out as Huni's in the pit, coming around behind TSM. But Echo Fox has lost so many. Huni alone cannot save this fight. He grabs the kill into Mithy. He grabs the kill now, the double into Hauntzer. He has kept his opponents from taking the Baron. The saving grace of Echo Fox right now in the top lane as TSM will still take the fight.
They might try to just go back to the Baron, but it would be very risky. I mean, they have Bjergsen to tank it up. MikeYeung is very low, but Huni winning that 1v2 was so big, and TSM is going to start this up either way. Huni pretty healthy here. 10 looks to contest, but I think it's too late. It's just gone.
TSM does this so rapidly.
Yep.
There's no way for Echo Fox to try to stop it, and that is Baron going the way of TSM.
Very nicely done, and again, TSM finding a good fight here. They start up the Baron. Hauntzer pushing forward, knows he has the support here from Bjergsen, and Bjergsen has been involved in everything this game. Knocking down Altec, finding Fenix, and Fenix as having a really hard time actually getting involved in this game. And on the other side of the fight, Huni barely able to take down this 1v2. The empowered Q comes back up. Couple kills for him. And he's at a very strong point, but I mean, TSM is a couple thousand ahead. They have the Baron buff. How does Fenix get involved now? If he is not able to split push, he's not having success in the team fights. And how do you split push when the opponents have Baron and are knocking at your turrets?
And honestly, the situation with Baron only further accents a huge problem on this Echo Fox composition if it falls behind. Limited wave clear. Yep. You don't have a mage in the mid lane that can burst these waves down. And even though you've got Huni, Vladimir as a champion has to walk up in the middle of all the creeps to burst the wave down. It's a real issue.
I mean, really, there's not any strong wave clear coming out of here. If there's like a lot of AP on Adrian, then Zilean can start to kind of help that a bit. But Fenix has no safe wave clear. Huni does not really have very good wave clear. Altec does not have safe wave clear, so definitely going to be tough for them against this Baron buff. And TSM is going to clean up some turrets on the map, going to extend that gold advantage. And Echo Fox needs to survive this, slow down the game, get into a 1-3-1, and try to find advantages there. But if TSM gets too far ahead, it's going to be tough.
Fenix trying to hold the line here, pops the QSS to keep himself safe, but TSM with a 5-man strong push and a couple of Baron minions looking to keep this one going. Dardoch has to run away. The rest of Echo Fox will soon be telling the same story. Huni down below half HP. They decide this isn't worth it. TSM brings themselves up to a 5-turret count and a 6,500 gold lead.
Yeah, things looking really good for TSM off of these last couple of plays. They have found the team play. They have found a way to get these fights, to come and arrive to the fight faster, right? It's been Galio coming in. Despite the fact that Bjergsen had a tough lane there against Fenix, he is the one that's been involved in everything. It's 3-0-10 here for the Galio against a 1-4-1 Fiora. Phoenix had a good lane, but what has he done with it? Really gotten nothing done at all.
And you said at the beginning of this game that after the 0-2 last week, things are looking bleak for TSM. This isn't where everyone, including themselves, expected them to be after 5 weeks of play. But what kind of a momentum shift does it make for you to then enter week 6, take down the #1 team, which has only lost 1 game so far, and set that as your starting point for bouncing back during this last leg of the race?
I mean, it would be absolutely huge, but they have to close this game out, and Echo Fox is still going to have their chances. If they can slow it down, find split push opportunities, it's going to be really good for them, but it's so hard against a Kha'Zix and a Galio and a Camille who can find these almost guaranteed engages. One thing that is going to be kind of the ace in the hole here for Echo Fox, though, is how strong Huni is. He already has his death cap. This is a 5-kill Vladimir. He is ridiculously strong at this point in the game. Has an incredible amount of farm. 367 CS at 31 minutes, plus 5 kills. You find the right fight on that Vladimir, gold leads stop mattering because you have killed everyone. He needs to find that flank. He needs to be that X factor for Echo Fox that he has been so many times before.
Baron expiring in 3, 2, 1. See you later. That one no longer being there to keep those minions alive could be big here for Echo Fox. Mithy gonna go ahead, disengage, Glacial Fissure. Dardoch backs himself out. Ult still available on that Sejuani. Honestly, every ult ready to go except for the bottom lane of TSM. True Shot Barrage down because it's pretty much spammed out all the time in the Glacial Fissure you just saw there. Echo Fox, Baron ended up giving their opponents 4,627 gold, and that makes their job very, very difficult.
Certainly does. I mean, you never want to be falling behind against this team that has this kind of group and win condition. They're looking for the double bomb.
Nah,
a little bit less inspiring of an engagement. Throwing the Alistar.
Yeah, the Alistar or the Rakan.
And a couple bombs like,
oh, all right, I guess I'll toss these in there, but it doesn't work out so well for Echo Fox that time around. That was
it was a good try.
It was an attempt.
It was a good try.
It was an attempt, but it did not quite pan out the way they were hoping for. Hauntzer going to be set up here in this side lane. This is what you wanted to see from this team early on. Get him in a spot where he's able to split push. Now, granted, if Huni comes to stop him, it's still going to be a pretty rough task to deal with that Vladimir, but at the same time, if the Vlad's in a 1 versus 1, that 4v4 is not going to go well for the rest of Fox.
Definitely so, and honestly, it's tough for Huni, even if he feels that he can win the 1v1, because if he commits to a fight, it may not be a 1v1. It may be a 1v2. It may be a 1v3 with Kha'Zix jumping in and the Galio ulting in, and you cannot win that. So that is really what kind of works against him in this situation, and it's why you're seeing him, even from this point of power, not look for as many fights. He's farming, he's pushing out waves, but he's playing conservatively because he knows it's not going to be that isolated fight he really wants. And you know, we'll have to see, can Fenix actually get involved and create enough pressure elsewhere on the map that frees up Huni to look for those plays, because Hauntzer has started to build towards this magic resist that we talked about. He's dying to Huni a lot. He's built a Spirit Visage, which is not going to be nearly as effective against Fenix. So if Fenix could get an isolated 1v1 against this Camille, maybe he can find success, and that could, you know, free up and start to create pressure around the map. And that's really what Echo Fox is trying to do. But it's tough because you make that one mistake, your split pusher gets picked off, then they will push to the base, 5-man strong, and force you to fight. There will be no more split pushing allowed.
Huni taking some damage topside right now. Mithy moving forward, saying, hey, get away from this. We need this turret right now. Hemo Plague dropped, and that's the instant red light for TSM to stop. Say, nope, we're not going to go any further. Allow Vladimir to waste that ulti. The cooldown on that one,
about a minute.
Hanging around the 1 minute mark, 66 seconds. So that is a small window for TSM to look and make some sort of an opportunity happen here. They do have 45 seconds until Baron is up. Elder Dragon spawning in a little under 2 minutes, and TSM does have all 3 Elemental Drakes that spawn this game.
And honestly, it's just a nice play from Mithy to step up like that, because Huni knows if he gets stunned without the ultimate out, he won't be able to get enough healing down to actually survive the decided dive him. So kind of has to preemptively do it and try to push them back. And that secures TSM another turret. As you said, all outers down. And they never really are able to get out of the base as far as getting vision, as far as pushing out waves. Like, if you toggle to Echo Fox's vision, it is very, very shallow right now. It is a dark and scary map. They basically can see nothing. How do you split push in this scenario, right? There's no safe play.
Haphazardly.
Exactly. Like, you push out the wave, and then you wait in your base until another wave comes to you. But that means, with the dragons going to be spawning for Elder Dragon soon, with the Baron now live, Echo Fox has to be able to reestablish vision to be able to even try to contest that, because you can afford to face check into these dark areas and expect to win a fight.
Well, it looks like TSM's going to try to force something out right here. Hauntzer coming in from the flank. TP going to be used now as well. Dardoch trying to start this one off, but it's Huni in the back line. He got the AD carry, and that could be exactly what they need. Ready now to look for more if they can. Echo Fox, 5 men strong, still going to be changing attention over towards that Baron. Mithy running away, realizing he's not really in a spot to be fighting anything here, but with Baron coming up, does TSM want to try to stop this one? It's 5 strong on Echo Fox.
They're going to try.
TP comes in. TSM not willing to let it go. MikeYeung over the wall. This could be a huge steal if he gets it. Hauntzer coming into the fight. It's going to be a heroic entrance. The Resurrect comes through. The Baron's going to be taken low and secured by Dardoch. But TSM is mopping up Echo Fox. They've got the health. They're going to find the ace. And that's exactly the fight they needed to get.
And that is in a 4v5. They find the engage. It is a clean ace for TSM. They're going to be pushing up mid lane here. Could knock down an inhibitor, potentially even go for the end of the game. These rest timers are very, very long.
Take the Baron, will knock it right back off you, they say to Echo Fox as they make the play they had to make. Awesome job from them. Now, pushing into the enemy base. Inhibitor turret number 1 under pressure. Inhibitor number 1 will follow shortly thereafter. This could just be the game. 15 seconds before Altec and Dardoch come back up.
That's it. TSM with an awesome play, recognizing they were able to make it happen 4 versus 5 in the Baron pit. They'll take down #1 Echo Fox, and they'll say that they're still in the running to make one hell of a statement here in spring 2018.
Such a good win for TSM. They needed a big confidence boost like this, and this is exactly the way you want to see them win as TSM, as a TSM fan, working together, actually looking more coordinated, finding the team fights as a 5-man squad, and able to really take down the #1 team is very, very impressive.
They put themselves where they needed to be to find that win. We talked about so many of the issues for the Echo Fox composition specifically this game, how it was split push reliant, how it couldn't clear waves. TSM put themselves in a spot with that mid-game lead to make sure that those weaknesses were exposed.
And I think that's going to be what a lot of the conversation will be about from the Echo Fox side. People will be questioning this draft. People will be saying, why are you drafting double split push into a Galio, with Kha'Zix available? That makes it so, so hard. And you saw that Echo Fox lost full vision control on the map. They're playing this kind of very tricky, interesting draft, with the Zilean and the Fiora mid and all these things, but you're left with one tank. You're left without a lot of ways to really kind of control the side waves and without a lot of ways to wave clear. So when you fall behind, as you said, it becomes incredibly difficult. And despite the fact that they had some winning lanes, what did that really get them?
Didn't get them anywhere at the end of the day. We saw everyone on the side of Echo Fox struggling, with one notable exception. Huni did so much work this game. Honestly, going into the backlines, even in that fight where Echo Fox won towards the end that led them to the fatal Baron call, it was Huni who got the pick onto Zven. It was Huni who was constantly making these moves. So although you're going to reevaluate a lot of things that happened this game, if you're Echo Fox, one thing that stands firm in my mind, that guy's doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, his individual performance was really impressive. Someone who I think really kind of detracted from the game from Echo Fox, honestly, was Fenix. I think Fenix had his worst game this split by far. He has been an incredible player so far for this split for me, and he did not perform today. He had the lane he wanted with the counter pick. He's able to farm it out, get to a strong point, and time again, he was not able to actually find the timing on the parry against Bjergsen. On that taunt, he kind of moves back in that 1v2, gives up an easy kill after the first team fight has gone wrong. He was never able to find any success in a team fight, no success in his side lane. He really didn't do anything this game, and I think it's a lot to do with the pick, but it's also not going to be a performance that he's pleased with.
No, you're definitely going to have to go back and look at this one more and more if you're Echo Fox. But for TSM, you've got to be excited. And to get more on that win, let's send it over to Avali and TSM Shield Bearer in the bottom lane.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Mithy. Congratulations on that win. You guys went from an 0-2 week last week to taking down the toughest team in the league. What was the biggest factor in today's victory?
Guess we just played better. It's hard to say. Best of ones don't really get to let you show how good you are. So I just feel like we were more prepared coming into this week, and I guess it showed.
What was the toughest part for you in that match? Because there were parts where it looked like Huni was taking some of you guys out.
I guess the toughest part was I was just not playing very good against Vladimir. So he got strong. That's pretty much it. That's the only thing they could really do. I think they didn't really have, like, they had winning lanes in theory, but they didn't win hard enough, and their bot lane lost, so it was just pretty much doomed for them.
And we've heard from some of your teammates about addressing some of the communication issues that the team has had from the beginning of the split. What's your take on the issues, and how do you think they're being addressed?
Well, after last week, we had a meeting where we tried to assign each other roles. Basically, during feedback, we know everything we should do better because we have a lot of veterans. Everyone has a lot of good ideas, so we understand what we have to do and what we should have done, but we don't do it in game. So this week we try to assign roles to everyone in the team so that we get more responsibility. So when something isn't done, then someone is blamed for it, and that way we can address the issues and just get better, I guess.
And when you said assigning roles, what was your role specifically?
It's just for different parts of the game and different things. It's hard to pinpoint just one thing. So I guess, yeah.
Well, team morale must be pretty high after this win. But tell me a little bit about the team's mentality and morale from the last few weeks.
I haven't really talked to my teammates about how they feel. Personally, I've been feeling pretty down and super stressed, especially after last week. I feel like I just let everything be, and I didn't really know how to take charge because everyone in the team takes charge, as in our coaching staff does so much, Bjerg does so much too, and there's just everyone doing a lot. So I just thought, okay, well, I'll just let people do their thing, and then I just felt like I could do more, and I just felt stressed out because I couldn't really impact the games or change things to better. But after the meeting, I guess, after assigning roles and just giving me a little bit more responsibilities and stuff, things have been getting better. So yeah, I feel more confident now in my play because I feel like I can impact every game a lot more. So I guess that's what's changed, and winning today means that things are going the right way. I don't really care if we're stronger than EchoFox or if we're weaker than EchoFox. It doesn't really matter because at the end, it's all about playoffs. And I mean, if things keep going the right way, it's going to be really good for TSM. I mean, the org is what it is, right? Like they're known for being really good, and we're going to make sure that that stays that way. I think I've been lucky enough to have really good teammates during all my career. So I've always done well, and I think a little bit of it is part of me, like of me doing well too. So I think if I just keep riding the boat, eventually we'll probably just win the split. So I'm just gonna lay back and keep working hard, and it's all gonna go well.
Well, I'm glad that you're feeling better after this win. Mithy, thank you so much for the interview. And for more on this game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. Perhaps a turning point for TSM as they take down the #1 team in the league in EchoFox. Mithy said he feels they came into this week, or at least into this match, with better preparation, having done more homework. I know the two of you have some pretty strong feelings about the way the draft worked out in this game. So let's dive straight into that.
If their homework told them that there was going to be a Fiora mid and a Zilean support, that's some good-ass homework you did.
Give that analyst a
I don't
raise.
think that they knew this was coming, and if they did, great. But yeah, this was a weird game.
Yeah, so homework, Galio and Camille are good together. That's not new information. EchoFox thought they'd be able to counter it. Like, this team competition, actually, TSM had already played against it, save for the Zilean against CLG. When they beat CLG back in week 4, it was Vladimir, Sejuani, Fiora, Kalista, and Alistair throwing a Zilean who didn't get off any good ultimates this game because they were constantly having 4 people hit at the same time. It was a really, really arrogant and I think bad draft by EchoFox this game.
Yeah. Okay, but so let me present a counterpoint, right? Because perhaps arrogant. Is there not the case where this is a top team taking their game advantages over the other teams and looking, as we've said,
could be
in some cases for more ways to win, more diverse strategies?
Maybe, and that would be the most positive way you can look at it, because otherwise this was terrible. Because like the Zilean, yeah, you take it, but there wasn't that many bans down the bot lane. Like you said, that Alistair that they used in the previous time when CLG was running that comp, it was up. Tarek was up. Maybe it's a little slow to land the ultimate and you have to risk that, but you also get a better champion than Zilean in 80% of other situations. So it was just one of those drafts where it's like, you don't really have a real mid laner, you don't really have a real support, and lo and behold, you fall behind and then it's impossible to team fight. And despite the fact that Huni was playing great.
That's true, right? The constant there is that Huni was performing as an individual. I want to take a look at some replays. We got tons of team fights to work our way through. So 18 minutes into the game, 4-0 in the top lane.
Yeah, and this one is what got EchoFox in trouble because this is how they actually have to win. They have to find early picks off and be able to get someone killed. But as you see, Altec path down into the river and to try and prevent the retreat, but they didn't actually have the teleports ready, and they got 5-man really swiftly by TSM.
Yeah, just a little greedy of a play to force, given that they were not having the TP to match. And then, okay, bad play, things go wrong, good chase down by Hauntzer here. Fenix, why do you pick a 2v1 afterwards? This is what we're talking about when we're saying that, like, it's one thing to say that, like, EchoFox was trying new draft strategies out, but it also felt like they were playing with a level of arrogance that we haven't seen out of them quite yet. And that's why it's a little troubling for us to be like, TSM returning to like the path to victories when this is like what they're doing and playing it against, because they still struggled at some parts in this game.
All right, fair enough. Another place where that homework may have shown, though, Jat, was in TSM's response to EchoFox Baron call.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons we've been trepid on putting EchoFox as for sure the best team in the league is because every time they're losing, they rush Baron. They actually had vision control, but TSM was like, wait a minute, they could be rushing Baron. And look how swiftly Bjergsen can just collapse and kill the whole team by himself. And mind you, the game was still winnable because Phoenix 1v1 Kha'Zix on the top side, Huni 1v1 Camille in the mid lane, and they ended up coming out of this actually not that negative, and it wasn't until later that TSM ended up picking up the Baron, but that play has been ran by Echo Fox so many times, and I was just patiently waiting for someone to punish them for it, and I think this game TSM finally did.
All right, you fast forward that to Echo Fox's second Baron attempt, coming 10 minutes later in the game, once again foiled by TSM.
And the thing here is, once again, Huni's such a monster. He solos out the enemy team's AD carry in Ezreal to set his team up in a position where they could potentially come back into the game. But once again, they are playing from very far behind. The enemy team collapses very well. Here comes a Galio and a Baron pit with a Camille ult on top. That's just a doomsday scenario. They get blown up here. And it's the kind of thing where if they had a real team comp and Huni was playing this well, maybe you can take this game a little bit slower, but it didn't really feel that way with how they had drafted themselves to a bit of a 1-3-1 corner that they no longer have map pressure with.
Yeah, now I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but what is a team comp you feel they could have secured in Champ Select that would achieve exactly what you just said, Mark, winning, you know, just based on having a better comp than what they had this time around?
I mean, just take it, like they did this last week too, where they take Vladimir blind a little bit so that they can double flex between top and mid. I'm all right with that. It was into the Galio, which is not great because Galio can just like roam around the Vladimir and ignore him in laning phase kind of, so I don't love it in this situation. Maybe you just don't take that Vladimir blind the way that they've been doing recently. And it worked out fine, and then maybe it's just like, well, don't pick the Fiora part of this comp. Right. Because like we said, you know, Huni was doing great. Yeah. No problem there. You can take Corki mid or something and just have a normal team fight team comp.
Yeah, as you mentioned, like it was an attempt to flex on them. I think a safer pick would have been something like Corki, but then you're running into having too much magic damage issues. What I think in general, though, is Echo Fox, they are still a good team. They're still the best team in North America right now, even by the standings, 8-2. But now you see the weakness we've been talking about that hasn't necessarily been exploited there, where this team composition at least was a narrow win condition. And then also when they're behind, they're straightforward about the way they try and come back, and they finally lost a game for it.
Much the same way at the top of the day, we were talking about C9's loss to Echo Fox not being that damning. It's the same thing here, where we're looking at Echo Fox, the weaknesses that we already knew existed got exploited, as well as having a weird draft that we're not really fans of. Right. So I'm not sitting here like, oh man, this totally changes my perspective on Echo Fox. It's just
right. Nothing new was necessarily exposed, so there's no mind-blowing resolution here to the at the end of the game. Last thing I want to look at is your guys' predictions from the top of the day. Just as a quick,
I knew it.
Quick little reminder for the both of you.
I said
that you guys said Echo Fox.
Mark, I gave you like 17 opportunities to switch to TSM. You're like, my gut. And I'm like, just do it then.
I just gotta start listening to my gut. It was like narratively zero.
You didn't even flip.
I didn't. Wait, what? Who makes this? Is this the stats team or just producers? Because I would expect more out of our stats.
Well, okay. I mean,
did you flip flop though? Did you decide TSM and flip flop to Echo Fox?
So if we're being honest, if we're giving you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, the behind the scenes, Mark did choose TSM before the top of the day. He got his flip-flop in
I did not
under the wire.
So I was gonna say,
he did get it in. He did get it in there before the show started,
I guess
which is why we let it go.
We need to define flip-flopping, whether it's, you know, on-air flip-flopping.
This is the definition right here.
When you decide one thing, you flip to the other.
Gentlemen.
I sent it to our producer, and I said, TSM, but I want to wait till noon. And then at noon, I said, never mind.
Well, hold on. What were you waiting on? Like side select or something?
Yeah.
But blue side wins every game.
Blue side wins every game.
But they get it counterpicked. Echo Fox gets counterpicked. And then
I like how the focus is not on me because I haven't got a single prediction correct today.
That's right.
Just throw shit.
And there you go. You brought it all back on yourself. I was trying to do you a favor there, Jat. We're stepping away. When we return, it's going to be Golden Guardians versus Optic Gaming. We'll see you here after the break.
Please.
Pathing Nirvana. After you dumpster on Dardoch, you're gonna say, yeah, I think I reached Pathing Nirvana today. Dardoch could deal with my Pathing Nirvana.
MikeYeung moving here into the mid lane. Fenix does not have fast enough feet to get away this time. MikeYeung needs one more hit, and he's got it.
I can ult you, Mithy. I'm TP mine.
There.
TP mine. Let's go.
Okay. Sedge.
Stay 1 HP. No flash.
Okay, we win.
2-star.
Huni getting jumped on, tries to outplay it, and does a nice stopwatch. It's going to be a heroic entrance. The resurrect comes through. The Baron's going to be taken low and secured by Dardoch. But TSM is mopping up Echo Fox. They've got the help. They're going to find the ace. That's it. TSM with an awesome play, recognizing they were able to make it happen 4 versus 5 in the Baron pit. They'll take down #1 Echo Fox.